My name's Tim Kellogg. I'm the owner of Matiti Chocolatier, located in Matiti, Wyoming. We're about half an hour south of Cody, just east of the entrance to Yellowstone National Park. I'm a saddle bronc rider in the rodeo. It's a rough stock event, and 4 years ago I needed to purchase a new saddle. A bronc saddle is about $1,500 to $1,600, sometimes a little bit more, and I didn't quite have the money, and so my mother suggested I make a bunch of her mother's chocolates and sell them in Cody during the Cody Stampede. I was dead set against that, had no ambition to do it whatsoever. My mom strong-armed me into doing it, and I raised enough money in 4 days to get a new saddle. I competed here in Matiti later on that summer and had a booth there as well, and sold out all my chocolates once again and started selling them at various rodeos throughout the Bighorn Basin. And within a month of that, I had my own bakery, and we were open on Saturdays, just Saturday afternoons. And then it went to Saturdays and Sundays, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then within a year and a half, it was 7 days a week. And after that was 4 years ago. And after 3 years, I ended up purchasing this building and moving my store in here, and we've been open here ever since, 7 days a week. We specialize in truffles and Belgian chocolate now. As I get more comfortable with the chocolate that I work with, I upgrade the chocolate and the quality of the product. I've learned from the school of trial and error. I threw out a tremendous amount of chocolate and product the first year or 2 years. When you burn chocolate, there's no saving it, and once it's scorched, it's scorched. And I ate a lot of it, as it was not sellable, but I figured if I spent all night making it, I have to at least consume it. Those were the good times, I guess. I can laugh about it now. And you know, we've come a long way. I have about 18 different flavors of the chocolate truffles. We have all the standards like the Bailey's Irish Cream, chocolate, raspberry, and we have a lot of local exotics, as I call them, which my favorite being Coors Original. I also have a huckleberry, a sage, and a Jack Daniel's truffle. Those are some of the more unique flavors. The Coors truffle actually was a joke. A friend of mine came over to the store one night, and if I'm in the kitchen, I'm usually drinking Coors. And she asked me what I was making, and I said a Coors truffle as a complete joke. And she's like, "Ooh, that might be good." And so I said, "Well, let's find out." And so I dumped some Coors into the batch, and lo and behold, that's been my best-selling truffle. It outsells all the other flavors, probably 3 to 1. People buy it because it's unique, and they think, "Oh, this has got to be a gimmick," but then they come back because it's actually very good. And who would have thought that Coors Original and fine chocolate would pair up? But they do, and it's very good. And same with the sage. I wanted to try something different and unique to Wyoming, and as anyone from Wyoming will attest, there's sage everywhere. And so I decided to try a sage truffle. There are several different levels of chocolate, everything from the premium chocolates all the way down to your basic confections. A basic confection, also known as a dipping chocolate, more times than not is actually not a true chocolate. It's more of a confection is what we call it. And it's an oil-based candy coating that you can dip, pretzels, raisins, caramel, stuff like that into it, and it has a nice shine, but you just melt it and dip and go. I use chocolate, true chocolate, that you have to temper, which means you have to take it through the crystallization process. You chop the chocolate up, you bring it up, depending on if it's white, milk, dark, and how dark. The darker the chocolate, the higher the heat. You don't want to bring the chocolate above about 110 degrees, otherwise you'll scorch it and then it's ruined. So usually what you do is you take a milk chocolate and you bring it to about 98, 99 degrees, depending on its cocoa content, and then you let it mix at that temperature, and then you slowly bring it down several degrees, and that's when you can start working with it, dipping like fruits, nuts, whatever into it, and then cooling it off so it gets a nice shine to it. You don't want any cracks or any cocoa blooms. A cocoa bloom is when chocolate has set and then it gets hot again, like if it's left out on the counter in the sunshine, and then you get little white spots on it, and they're called cocoa blooms, and that's just cocoa butter separating from the chocolate. And then the higher the cocoa content, the hotter the chocolate has to be, because it's less viscous. There's not as much butter or milk fat in it, so you have to make it hotter to make it more fluid so that you can work with it to pour it in the molds, to fill it, to dip it, etc. And so I use most of the premium chocolates. I do use a white confection to dip dog biscuits, because since it's not a true chocolate, dogs cannot eat chocolate. However, they love chocolate. So if you give them the fake stuff, then it is totally safe for them, as long as they don't eat 20 pounds of it. But the dog biscuits, the dogs love it when you dip it in the white confection, and because they think they're getting away with something and they're really not. Yeah, I started dipping dog biscuits several years ago for my dog. I talked to our vet out at the ranch, and he told me about the different chocolates and how it's toxic to dogs. But the confection, the fake chocolate, is actually fine, or carob. Sometimes I use carob, which is like a non-chocolate, but it's all natural. And so I started dipping some of the biscuits for my dog, like the little dog treats, and he went crazy for them. And then friends of my parents wanted some for their dog for Christmas, and I make them as fast as I can, and I cannot keep them in stock. The dogs go crazy for them, and they really think they're getting away with murder and eating people food, when it's actually not. I mean, as long as they only have 1 or 2 a day, they're totally fine and they're happy. And we use a lot of local products. We get a lot of our dairy products from Cody Dairy. All of our milk, eggs, cheese, things like that, cream cheese for our cheesecakes comes from Cody Dairy. And I get a lot of my chocolate is through a wholesaler up in Montana. There's several distributors up there that are able to pull in chocolates from all over the world and all over the country. So it's nice to have that relationship with them, where I'm dealing with them and not having to go with a coastal wholesaler or retailer. And we make everything fresh here. I make everything in the store but the ice cream. We do serve Wilcoxon's ice cream, which is from a creamery in Livingston, Montana, and they make a super premium ice cream. It's probably the finest ice cream available in the nation. So we do as much as possible local. A lot of the herbs that I use in my chocolates, our lavender chocolate, is made or grown right here in Meeteetse, and the strawberries, a lot of times I get from local farms here in the Meeteetse or the Bighorn Basin, which is fantastic to be able to use as much local produce as possible. And all the pastries, everything is made here by myself on premise, and we're kind of proud about that. We don't sell any bulk candy. We're not a candy shop, we are a chocolatier, so we're very proud of that. And the community has been extremely supportive of myself and my business, and for that I'm very, very thankful. This is Tim Kellogg, the Meeteetse Chocolatier, located here at the southern end of Park County in Meeteetse, Wyoming, just east of Yellowstone National Park. We've been open 4 years now. We have a full dessert bar, 16 different flavors of truffles, a bunch of Belgian chocolates, and all the tasty treats you can imagine. So feel free to stop by. We're open 7 days a week. And thank you for watching Eat Country Lifestyle.